Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We are in Tompkins Square Park, and you can't see. Well, maybe you could see. I guess if we just do this. That's the Hare Krishna tree.
We're just sitting in front of it.
Or behind it. Depends on where your
That's true.
point of view or perspective is.
Even on the side of it.
But we're here and the leaves are falling around us.
Yeah.
And it's that time of year, which they call here in the US of A, fall. And those of you who are in England, you call it autumn.
Autumn.
But we're falling into the Bhagavatam.
All right, Canto 4, chapter. There comes the music just when we start the reading. Canto 4, chapter 22, text 12.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 12. Maharaj Prithu offered his welcome to the 4 Kumaras, addressing them as the best of the Brahmanas. He welcomed them, saying, "From the beginning of your birth, you strictly observed the vows of celibacy. And although you are experiencing the path of liberation, you are keeping yourselves just like small children." The specific importance of the Kumaras is that they were brahmacharis living the life of celibacy from birth. They kept themselves as small children, about 4 or 5 years old, because by growing into youth, one's senses sometimes become disturbed and celibacy becomes difficult. The Kumaras therefore purposefully remain children because in a child's life, the senses are never disturbed by sex. This is the significance of the life of the Kumaras, and as such, Maharaj Prithu addressed them as the best of the Brahmanas. Not only were the Kumaras born as the best of the Brahmanas, Lord Brahma, not only were the Kumaras born of the best Brahmana, Lord Brahma, but they are addressed herein as Dvija Shrestha, the best of the Brahmanas, on account of their being Vaishnavas also. As we have already explained, they have their Sampradaya, disciplic succession, and even to date the Sampradaya is being maintained and is known as the Nimbaka Sampradaya. Out of the 4 Sampradayas of the Vaishnavacharyas, the Nimbaka Sampradaya is one of them. Maharaj Prithu specifically appreciated the position of the Kumaras because they maintain the brahmacharya vow from the very beginning of their birth. Maharaj Prithu, however, expressed his great appreciation of Vaishnavism by addressing the Kumaras as Vaishnava Shrestha. In other words, everyone should offer respect to a Vaishnava without considering his source of birth. Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. No one should consider a Vaishnava in terms of birth. The Vaishnava is always the best of the Brahmanas, and as such, one should offer all respects to a Vaishnava, not only as a Brahmana, but as the best of the Brahmanas. Nice point. Oh, the squirrel just came.
Those of you who are online would have seen that squirrel just climb over the fence.
Oh. Did it?
Yeah, but he didn't jump on your red light.
Oh, I'm glad
Anyway,
I didn't
carry
see
on.
it. I'm
He's
glad
just
I didn't
picking
see
up his
that.
nuts.
Anyway,
storing them for the
interesting
winter.
point. I've not heard that point before. That the reason why the Kumaras keep themselves as little kids is because they don't want to become disturbed in mind and hormones if they become older. So that brings up a question, because the 4 Kumaras are spirit souls liberated, and we are also spirit souls, covered. And so because I'm covered, I'm identifying with this body and all the stuff it's going through. So that means the Kumaras, why are they affected by, say, a teenage body, if they were in a teenage body or a young man's body, if they are liberated souls? Do you understand? Like, what does it matter what the outer casing is?
They are liberated because they've kept themselves liberated. They might not necessarily be liberated because they were born Nityasiddhas, although that may also be the case. But different personalities will take different precautions in order to keep themselves in a safe position if that's what they want. And we might say, well, doesn't everyone want it? Well, no, everyone doesn't want it. And even those who think they want it may not be able to keep themselves in a fit situation because it's a struggle. It's not easy to remain in a liberated state, which means completely fixed on service and free from the distractions of the mind and senses. So, I mean, I have heard that before. I always understood that's why they were in little kids' bodies. They didn't want to grow up and do what Brahma wanted them to do, which was to be progenitors, to create progeny. So they didn't want to do that. So they stayed in little kids' bodies because that's the bodies of innocence. You know, that's the bodies of, you know, innocent consciousness in general. Although I guess they're in bodies that are like 4 or 5 year old kids, something like that. Once you get a little bit older than 5 or 6, then, especially in the modern day, then innocence isn't even there so much anymore. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But you hadn't heard that before?
Oh no, I just thought, to be honest with you,
You
really
thought they were just like little kids' bodies?
eccentric, liberated people. Like, I don't know why you would want to be naked little boys, to be honest with you. If I could choose a body, it wouldn't be that.
Well, yeah.
It would definitely be a few pounds
Lighter.
less than what I am now. A few years younger, but it won't be a kid.
Krishna's eternally whatever. Some say 16, some say under, whatever on that age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good age.
Text 13. Prithu Maharaj inquired from the sages about persons entangled in this dangerous material existence because of their previous actions. Could such persons, whose only aim is sense gratification, be blessed with any good fortune? That's a good question, right? What's the question? What is the question? The question is, can people who have lived a life of debauchery also become exalted and devotees and take to the path, right? Purport. Maharaj Prithu did not ask the Kumaras about their good fortune, for the Kumaras are always auspicious by dint of their life in celibacy. Since they are always engaged on the path of liberation, there was no question of ill fortune. I think it's important that we don't confuse just the fact if someone stays celibate doesn't mean that they're completely liberated. There may be some persons who are completely celibate and axe murderers or genocidists or whatever. But so let's not confuse the fact that just because someone is celibate that they are on a liberated platform. And I think there's a long list of people who who understood the potency and power of being a celibate without being liberated spiritually. Does that make sense? In other words, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who are strictly following the path of spiritual advancement are always fortunate. The question was asked by Prithu Maharaj for his own sake, since he was in the position of a grihasta and in charge of the royal authority. Kings are not only grihastas who are generally absorbed in sense gratification, but are sometimes employed to kill animals in hunting, because they have to practice the killing art. Otherwise, it is very difficult for them to fight their enemies. Such things are not auspicious. 4 kinds of sinful activities: associating with women for illicit sex, eating meat, intoxication, and gambling are allowed for the Kshatriyas. See, Kshatriyas can do all those things. For political reasons, sometimes they have to take to these sinful activities. Kshatriyas do not refrain from gambling. One vivid example is the Pandavas. When the Pandavas were challenged by the opposite party, Duryodhana, to gamble and risk their kingdom, they could not refrain, and by that gambling they lost their kingdom, and their wife was insulted. Similarly, the Kshatriyas cannot refrain from fighting if challenged by the opposite party. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj, taking consideration of all these facts, inquired whether there is any auspicious path. Okay, so it's interesting. I was thinking he was asking for other people, but he's asking kind of for himself. Grihasta life is inauspicious because Grihasta means consciousness for sense gratification, and as soon as there is sense gratification, one's position is always full of dangers. Well, thank you. Welcome to the Grihasta ashram. The material world is said to be padam padam yad vipadam natesham, dangerous in every step. Bhagavatam 10:14-58. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard for sense gratification. Ain't that the truth, brother? Clearing all these points, Maharaj Prithu inquired from the 4 Kumaras about the fallen conditioned souls who are rotting in this material world due to their past bad or inauspicious activities. Quote, is there any possibility for their auspicious spiritual life? In this verse, the word indriyartartavedinam is very significant. It indicates persons whose only aim is to satisfy the senses. Indriya is the senses. They are also described as patitanam, or fallen. Only one who stops all activities for sense gratification is considered to be elevated. Another significant word is swakarma bihi. One becomes fallen by dint of his own past bad activities. Everyone is responsible for his fallen condition because of his own activities. When activities are changed to devotional service, one's auspicious life begins. Well, there is a whole lot in that purport. So first, about those who are grihasta. Well, first you got the Kshatriyas, who basically can break all the principles because it may be required in the line of their service. So that we need to look at and see that it's generally just brahmanas who are meant to be strict adherents to the laws of dharma. Others may have a different type. When I say dharma, that's interesting because we say dharma and we may think that means one way, one path, one religion. But dharma really means to follow according to our nature. And in order for Arjuna to follow his dharma and be a good kshatriya, he needed to kill a lot of people in the order of Krishna in the Battle of Kurukshetra. So it'll be different dharmas for different people. What is it for Vaishya? Srila Prabhupada said, you shouldn't think that a Vaishya isn't going to lie. If a Vaishya, a mercantile person, a businessman, if he says to you, for you I make no profit, then you have to know he's basically lying. It's just not a fact. So that's one point. The next point is about grihastas, and grihastas being, the grihasta ashram being focused on sense gratification. And at first it's like reading it, you think, well, that's a bit harsh. But it's a fact, actually, isn't it? Grihasta means get a partner, get a home, have kids, get a job, earn money,
go on holiday.
Go on holiday, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as many as you can get in. Eat as luxuriously as possible. Interact, have social, it means all of these different things, which can be done for Krishna, can be done for a higher purpose, can be done according to bhakti, but is certainly a path more easily distracted like that. Then the last one was, it's a world of danger at every step. And then, one who stops all activities for sense gratification is considered to be elevated. So it doesn't mean one who stops all activities or one who doesn't engage in activities that may be sense gratifying. But if you're not doing it for the higher purpose of connecting it to Krishna, then it's going to be entangling. Tad Vigyan or Tad, I can't remember the verse now. But anyway, all work has to be done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Yes. Just a thought. Should we stop there?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to stop here. We may do another reading a little bit later on. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much
Krishna.
for tuning in. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Bhagavatam Bites ki jai.
Jai.
All of you guys ki.
Jai.